In this video, we delve into the chaotic and brutal era of Pre-Unification Terra, where the planet was divided into countless warring states ruled by powerful Techno-Barbarian warlords. We'll explore the rise and fall of these factions, examining their unique cultures, leaders, and the intense battles that defined this dark age. One of the most powerful of these Techno-Barbarian states was Ursh, located in the steppes of what had once been Russia and Central Asia. Ursh was ruled by the despot and warlord named Kalagann, who commanded vast armies of Techno-Barbarians. Kalagann was known for wearing a distinctive suit of artificer armor known as the Armor of Pearl, which by the time of the Horus Heresy was kept as a trophy in the atrium of the Eternity Gate of the Imperial Palace. The armies of Ursh consisted mostly of unaltered human soldiers. Kalagann also employed powerful psychers within his armies, using their arcane abilities to unleash the foul powers of the warp upon his enemies, including the Imperial Army. Despite their influence and favor, the Dark Gods failed to save Kalagann when he faced the forces of the Emperor of Mankind, which eventually resulted in the defeat of Ursh and Kalagann's death. The Pan-Pacific Empire was a vast techno-barbarian state that controlled the Pacific Islands, parts of East Asia, Australia, and the Japanese islands. Its final ruler, Narthan Dume, was a half-mad, half-genius tyrant known for his technological advancements and brutal oppression. Dume's reign was marked by his awareness of humanity's lost knowledge and his curiosity about whether this ignorance was a curse or a blessing. Under Dume's rule, the empire became one of the most powerful techno-barbarian realms on Pre-Unification Terra. However, the Empire's power could not withstand the might of the Emperor's forces. In a series of battles during the Unification Wars, the Pan-Pacific Empire was defeated by the Imperial Army, which included units of Thunder Warriors, Caucasian levies, and many mercenaries. Dume was captured alive and executed at the urging of Captain General Valdor of the Legio Custodes. The Indonesic bloc was a techno-barbarian state located in Southeast Asia, ruled by the tyrannical Cardinal Tang. Tang's rule was characterized by a genocidal policy aimed at creating a genetically pure population. He enforced this through forced breeding between only genetically compatible citizens, compulsory sterilizations, and the extermination of undesirables. Tang's oppressive regime aimed to return the world to a pre-technological age, burning scientists, mathematicians, and philosophers who opposed his church's views. Tang's rule was marked by bloody pogroms, death camps, and genocides. Eventually, he was overthrown by his own people during the rise of the nascent Imperium and imprisoned in the notorious penal colony of Nusa Kambangan. Despite his attempts to conceal his true identity, Tang was murdered by fellow inmates shortly after his arrival. Albia, sometimes called Old Albia, was a techno-barbarian state situated in the British Isles, known for its ancient warlike clans and towering soot-blackened castrum cities. The Albians were fierce warriors who frequently clashed with other factions, including the Pan-Pacific Empire. Their Ironside clan soldiers and proto-dreadnoughts made them a formidable challenge for the Emperor's forces during the Unification Wars. Despite their determined resistance and the significant challenge they posed, the Emperor was impressed by the Albians' martial temper and indomitable spirit. He decided to end the fighting and take Albia through negotiations. Appearing before the Albian clan lords unarmed and clothed in white and crimson, the Emperor spoke of his vision for a unified humanity. The Albians, seeing the Emperor as different from past tyrants, accepted his terms and soon became one of the most zealous supporters of unification. Recruits from Albia were later incorporated into the ranks of the Space Marine Legions, particularly the 14th Legion, known as the Dusk Raiders. The Achaemenid Empire was a techno-barbarian state located in the Middle East, in the area of the ancient Persian Empire. It was a monarchy with a population divided into tribal factions that possessed a culture of truth and discourse unusual for the period. The Achaemenid Empire quickly allied with the Emperor during the Unification Wars, thereby avoiding the horrors of atomic war and invasion by the Emperor's superior armies. The Achaemenids were noted for their uncontaminated genomes, making them ideal candidates for recruitment into the Space Marine Legions after the unification was completed. Many early candidates were recruited from this state to become the first Astartes of the Thousand Sons Legion. The Achaemenids also held a superstitious belief in the mystical power of their ancestors, often using emblems of Dul Qarnayn, the greatest of their kings, as charms against harm. High Brazil was a powerful techno-barbarian state, centered in the former territory of ancient Brazil on the continent of Sudmerica. Ruled by the despot Dalmoth Kin, High Brazil was considered the most powerful of all the Sudmerican cantons. During the Unification Wars, High Brazil held out against the Emperor's forces for a considerable time. However, once Dalmoth Kin was defeated, rule of High Brazil passed to Lord Ferrum Sikar, a direct descendant of Kin. Despite their eventual defeat, the military forces of High Brazil, known as the Dracos, were allowed to maintain their existence resistance and continued to serve under the new imperial government. The Nord-Afric conclaves occupied much of the northern portion of the continent of Africa. This state thrived during the Age of Strife and was known for its long history of conflict with Ursh. The conclaves were heavily engaged in the use of dark warp powers in their warfare, which made them a significant threat. The Chronicles of Ursh, an ancient volume dating back to the millennia before the Unification Wars, describe the brutal conflict between the Nord-Afric conclaves and Ursh, highlighting the use of dark powers by both sides. The Ethnarchy of the Caucasus Wastes was a techno-barbarian state located in the Caucasus Peninsula. This state was ruled by mutated eugenicist oligarchs who used ancient relic technologies and narcotically enslaved psychers to maintain their power. The Ethnarchy's strongholds were concealed deep within the mountains, protected by near-impregnable powerfield webs. Despite their formidable defenses, the Ethnarchy was eventually overthrown by the combined forces of 6 proto-legions of the Legiones Astartes and other imperial forces led by the Emperor himself. This victory was one of the last great battles of the Unification Wars. America was a massive and powerful techno-barbarian state composed of hive cities located on the North American continent, North America. America was known for its technological prowess and was one of the major powers during the Age of Strife. Despite its strength, America was eventually brought into compliance by the Emperor's forces during the Unification Wars. The hive cities of America continued to play a significant role in the newly formed Imperium, contributing to the military and industrial efforts of Terra. The Malin-Sen Confederacy was a techno-barbarian state located in the region known as Nordex, which corresponds to modern-day Scandinavia. This confederacy was notorious for its engagement in forbidden genetic manipulation and human sacrifice, activities that aligned them with the dark gods of chaos. The priest king of Malin-Sen led the state, and under his rule, the confederacy became known for its brutal practices. The emperor's forces, including the Custodian Guard and the Thunder Warriors, eventually crushed the Malin-Sen Confederacy during the Battle of Malin-Sen. The priest king was captured and executed, marking the end of the Confederacy's reign of terror. The Roma were organized mercenary flyers who fought for various techno-barbarian states during the Age of Strife. Highly skilled pilots, the Roma were known for their prowess in aerial combat and for never touching the ground. They were employed by several techno-barbarian factions, including Ursh, where they played a key role in the state's military strategy. The Roma's expertise in pinpoint aerial attacks made them valuable assets to the warlords they served, but they eventually came under the control of the Emperor's forces as Terra was unified. As the Unification Wars drew to a close, the techno-barbarian kingdoms and tribes of Terra, once powerful and fearsome, fell one by one under the might of the Emperor of Mankind. His vision for a unified and enlightened humanity led him to conquer or negotiate the allegiance of these fragmented states, often at great cost. The Emperor's forces, including the early Space Marine legions, Thunder Warriors, and Custodian Guard, played crucial roles in these conquests, ensuring that the ideals of the imperial truth, reason, science, and unity prevailed over the chaos and superstition that had gripped Terra for millennia. The defeat of the final strongholds, including the powerful kingdoms like Ursh, the Pan-Pacific Empire, and the Indonesic Bloc, marked the end of the techno-barbarian era. The Emperor's victory was not just a military triumph, but a cultural and ideological revolution, bringing an end to the Age of Strife and paving the way for the Great Crusade, a campaign to reunite all of humanity under the banner of the Imperium. With the unification of Terra complete, the Emperor set his sights on the stars, aiming to reclaim the lost colonies and bring order to a galaxy fragmented by chaos and war. The lessons learned from the conquest of Terra's techno-barbarians, both their strengths and their flaws, would shape the future of the Imperium and the creation of the Space Marine legions. These genetically engineered warriors would become the spearhead of the Great Crusade, spreading the Emperor's vision of a united humanity across the stars. The fall of the techno-barbarian kingdoms was a crucial chapter in the history of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, a time of brutal conflict and transformative change. As we look back at this era, we see the seeds of both the Imperium's greatness and its future struggles, a legacy forged in fire and blood under the unyielding leadership of the Emperor of Mankind. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated.